Have you ever stopped to consider, really consider, the act of seeing, just opening your eyes? We tend to think it's simple, right? But what if it's way more complex, maybe even profound?
That's exactly where we're heading today. We're diving deep using some incredible ancient wisdom. We're talking texts like the Zohar, teachings from mystics like the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Abulafia, really rich sources.
And our mission, essentially, is to unpack these different ways of seeing, how they can be a spiritual path, moving us from just, physical sight towards something much deeper, abstract, maybe even infinite.
You're ready to have your perspective shifted a bit.
Okay, let's start with the basics. Daytime, easy. We see things clearly, a table, a chair, whatever. It is what it is.
Right, clear perception.
But night is just darkness. Why would you even bother opening your eyes in pitch black, it seems? Well, pointless, doesn't it?
Yeah. But that's where it gets fascinating. Our sources kind of flip that idea on its head. Sure, a classic text like Mesilite Yesharim notes darkness can trick you. You might mistake a pillar for a person, or vice versa. We've all done that, right?
Yeah, stumbling around in the dark.
But night also offers something unique. Quiet. A chance for introspection. Sometimes it brings out this deep internal cry, like that ancient lament. She cries at night.
Interesting.
So the insight here is maybe night isn't just about not seeing physically. Maybe it's an opportunity, an invitation even, for a different kind of vision, an internal one.
So you're saying the lack of external sight can actually spur on this other kind of perception. It really challenges how we usually think about it.
Absolutely. And these mystical traditions, they actually describe a couple of powerful ways to refine our vision, to cultivate this inner sight.
Okay, tell us about those, because refining vision in the dark sounds, well, paradoxical. How do you actively do that?
Well, the first way is maybe the most straightforward, actively closing your eyes.
Just closing them, like going to sleep.
Not quite just passive sleep, although rest is part of that divine rhythm, day and night, open and closed eyes. But this is more active. It's about consciously disengaging from the physical world. See, the Creator set up this rhythm, open eyes for day, closed for night, and deliberately closing your eyes cyclically creates a kind of spiritual imprint, a trace, the sources call it reshimu in the soul.
A trace, like a memory.
Sort of like building spiritual muscle memory, yeah. Think about it. If we saw the world 24/7, we'd be totally trapped by it, by the material.
Constantly bombarded.
Exactly. Unable to disconnect, to perceive anything beyond the surface. So intentionally closing your eyes helps build this soul trace of detachment. It frees you up, allows for deeper perception.
Okay, that makes sense. Active disengagement. But then you mentioned something else, something more challenging, looking into darkness when there's nothing there.
Yes, this is a more advanced practice, and many find it incredibly powerful. It's about training your power of sight, that focusing ability without any physical thing to look at.
How does that work?
Imagine trying to read, say, a bus number from really far away. You squint, you concentrate your vision, right? You focus intensely.
Sure.
Here, you're doing that same kind of intense focus, but in the dark. You're focusing intently, but you're not seeing anything material.
Yeah.
The eye itself, it's a window for the soul. But also for physical sight, it's being trained to use its focusing power to essentially see nothing.
See nothing while actively trying to see. That really is a paradox.
It is. It's like learning to see and not see at the same time.
So what's the point of seeing nothing?
Well, it's a bit like that saying, the purpose of knowledge is to know that we do not know. Here, the ultimate goal of sight, in this specific context, is to reach a point where you do not see physically, conventionally, but you're still actively using and refining the power of sight itself.
Okay.
It lets you develop this profound inner dimension of perception, moving beyond the physical limits of your eyes,
Yeah.
cultivating a spiritual sensitivity.
You mentioned that lament earlier. She cries at night. Do tears fit into this picture? How?
Ah, yes, tears. That's an important piece. Our sources have a beautiful way of explaining this. They say tears are like a mikveh, a ritual immersion bath, but for the eyes.
A mikveh for the eyes.
Exactly. They don't just show emotion, they actively purify. They strip away the superficial, purely physical way of seeing. They make the eye ready for deeper insights.
Wow.
So tears are actually seen as an intrinsic part of the eye's perceptive power, cleansing the lens, preparing it for a more profound connection.
Okay, so we've gone from physical sight to closing our eyes to actively looking into darkness, almost seeing nothing. It feels like these are all steps, preparations for something even bigger.
You're absolutely right. It's a progression. And it leads us towards perceiving something truly vast. Ein Sophos, the infinite light of the Creator.
The infinite light. But obviously not with our physical eyes.
No, no. This is perceived through the profound power of imagination, what the sources call kuashanda.
Imagination, like daydreaming.
Not just daydreaming. Think of it as a deep spiritual imagination, an inner capacity to grasp, to conceptualize the boundless, and to connect with it.
Okay. And the Baal Shem Tov, you mentioned him earlier, he offers a visualization for this, a first step.
Yes, a very powerful one. He teaches you to imagine the Ein Sof, this infinite light, completely surrounding you, enveloping you. And you are right there in the very center of it all.
Me in the middle of infinity.
Exactly. It's a huge leap, really. Beyond just thinking about finite spiritual worlds or concepts, here you're actively, imaginatively touching the infinite, even though your own sense of self is still finite, still there.
Can you give an analogy?
Think about being immersed in, say, a barrel of oil or even just water. When you step out, some of it still clings to you, right?
Sure.
That immersion means something of the infinite kind of adheres to you.
Yeah.
Illuminates your finite self, leaves a trace.
Okay, so I'm still me, a distinct point, but I'm soaked in infinity. Is that kind of the idea, like a first taste without dissolving completely?
That's a great way to put it. It is a crucial first stage, a vital step on that ladder. It respects your finite self, while gently introducing the experience of being surrounded by the boundless, building that connection.
So how did the sources suggest we move beyond that, where the me is still separate?
Well, the next step, suggested by the Noam Limelech, is, well, it's even more radical.
Radical, okay.
He suggests you imagine yourself jumping into a great fire. This fire is the Ein Sof, and you do it purely for the sake of God's name with real inner conviction.
Jumping into the infinite fire.
Yes. It's an act of profound self-nullification, complete surrender. Think of like a tiny matchstick flame being thrown into a huge roaring bonfire.
It just disappears, absorbed.
Completely absorbed. It loses its individual flame entirely. So this symbolizes a total surrender of the finite I, emerging into the boundless.
Wow. Okay. And is there an ultimate imaginative step beyond even that merging?
The ultimate step described is imagining only the Ein Sof, just pure, undiluted infinity. Contemplating that within your mind. Absolutely no distinct I, no boundaries, nothing else.
Just infinity itself.
Just infinity. But it's really important to understand this. Even these incredibly advanced imaginative stages, they aren't the final destination.
Oh.
They are immensely powerful tools. They prepare the soul. But the ultimate goal is considered a direct connection, soul to creator, that lies beyond any form of seeing, even beyond imagination itself. These stages are rungs on the ladder, drawing us closer.
What an incredible arc, from just seeing a table to contemplating pure infinity. And you mentioned this connects to the soul itself.
Indeed. It maps beautifully onto the structure of the soul. Just as tradition speaks of 5 levels of the soul, nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, and yechida, there are said to be 5 corresponding types of spiritual sight.
5 levels of sight matching the 5 soul levels.
Exactly. And each level reveals a deeper layer of reality. It connects us to the divine in a unique way. It's like climbing a ladder of perception.
Okay, let's break that down. The first level, nefesh level sight. What does that mean practically?
Nefesh is often linked to the basic life force, the animal soul. So nefesh level sight is about seeing the fundamental building blocks of creation. The letters, the opion.
Letters, like Hebrew letters.
Yes, primarily. The tradition teaches that everything, physical and spiritual, is constructed from these spiritual letters. They're like the vessels holding a higher light.
How does one see letters in everything?
Well, think about looking at the actual letters in a Torah scroll. There's a saying, letters make wise. Just looking, especially with focused intent, can impart spiritual understanding. But it goes beyond that. It includes meditating on individual letters, mentally combining them into words like mixing ingredients to create something new. It also involves deeper Kabbalistic practices, like permutations of divine names or Rabbi Abdullahi's method of rolling letters, and even gematria.
Gematria, the numerical values.
Right. In gematria, the number isn't just math. It reveals the spiritual light or energy within the letter. The letter is the vessel. The number is the light, you see.
So it's not just the meaning of the word, but the actual shape and energy of the letter itself. That's the focus.
Precisely. The form carries the wisdom. It's a conduit. Now, moving up, we get to ruach level sight. Ruach means spirit or wind.
Okay. How does spirit change how we see things?
At the ruach level, you start to see every event, every single circumstance, good, bad, external, internal, doesn't matter, as an opportunity for spiritual arousal. What we call lehidror b'avodat Hashem, to awaken to the service of God.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Maybe seeing someone pass away, It could awaken you to how precious and short life is. Or seeing someone have great fortune might remind you that true happiness isn't external, it's internal.
So everything becomes a kind of message, a prompt.
Exactly. Every experience is a nudge. Look deeper. Find the meaning. Connect it back to your spiritual path. It's about consciously looking for that divine message embedded in all the details.
That sounds like a really aware way to live. Okay, what about the next level, Neshama?
Neshama is often translated as the higher soul, the divine spark within. And the soul itself is sometimes referred to as kavod, meaning honor or glory. So at the Neshama level of sight, you begin to perceive the kavod Hashem, the honor of God, revealed in everything that exists.
God's honor. In a table, in a building.
In everything created, from the mundane to the sacred. The idea is that all things were ultimately created for his honor. Their existence points back to the Creator, reflects his glory in some way.
So you're not just looking at the object, you're actively looking for the divine spark, the purpose, the reflection of God's honor within it.
Exactly that. You consciously ask, where is God's honor revealed here? Finding the divine glory, that purpose, in anything that's seeing its soul, you could say. Its root connects back to the ultimate throne of glory.
How do you cultivate that? Just by asking the question.
That's a big part of it. Training yourself to seek it out consciously, not just passively observing the world, but actively looking for that divine manifestation everywhere.
This is getting incredibly deep. What about the next level, Chaya, the life force?
Chaya relates to life, vitality. This level of sight involves a profound realization. Creation isn't static. It's not a one-time event that just continues. It's being renewed every single moment.
Every moment.
Every moment. Our sages teach that God renews in his goodness the act of creation every day, constantly. It's not a continuous existence. It's a constant recreation, dynamic flux, like things are constantly living and passing away to be renewed instantly.
So it's not just an idea, it's something you can perceive, feel.
Precisely. It's meant to be a profound feeling and awareness of this constant dynamic renewal.
Yeah.
It brings a deep understanding of, well, the transient nature of things,
Yeah.
but also an intimate connection to the source of all life.
How does that change things practically?
Well, think about adversity. If creation is constantly renewed, then hardship isn't necessarily a permanent state, is it? It too exists within this flow of renewal and potential transformation. And this ties powerfully into practices like breathwork, actually, as taught by Rabbi Abulafia.
Breathwork. How?
When you inhale, it's not just air. You consciously feel the source of life, Shayut, entering you. When you exhale, you feel a momentary release, almost a tiny passing away. And then the cycle of renewal begins again with the next breath.
Wow.
It's about consciously connecting to that constant spring of life, feeling its ebb and flow in your own body moment by moment, living in that dynamic present.
What an absolutely astonishing journey, seriously. From just opening our eyes in a dark room to looking into that darkness to find a different kind of sight. Then imagining the infinite, and finally seeing these layers, the letters, the awakening, the divine honor, the constant renewal in everything.
It really shows how intertwined our physical and spiritual perception can be, doesn't it?
It truly does. Seeing is so much more than just light hitting our retina.
Absolutely. This path of sight, as we've explored it through these sources, it's really a path of constant elevation, from the everyday to the sacred, finite to infinite. Each step refines how we perceive, potentially bringing us closer to the essence of things and our connection to it all. It turns simple looking into an active spiritual practice.
So thinking about this, what does it all mean for you, listening right now? Maybe the next time you just look at something ordinary, a tree outside, a book, another person, maybe challenge yourself a little. Ask, am I just seeing with my physical eyes here? Or can I try to tap into something deeper? Can I look for the letters, the call to awaken, the honor, that constant renewal?
It's an invitation, really, to engage with the world on a whole different level.
And here's a final thought to leave you with, building on all this.
Consider the pupil of your own eye. It's black, isn't it? A tiny spot of darkness.
Yeah.
And yet, it's precisely through that blackness, that void, that all light, all color enters. It's how you see everything.
Huh. Never thought of it that way.
So, what if the deepest truths, the most profound sights? What if they're revealed not despite the darkness or the void or the nothingness, but somehow, powerfully, mysteriously, from within it?